I don't even know how to pronounce that. The Daedalus Gateway, um, and it says it's dormant now. It's no longer doing the studies that has been cited here. But basically, it says the most common demographic for gender benders is men over the age of 25, which suggests that over 85% of female avatars, you know what avatar is, it's the characters in these games, 85% of female avatars are actually played by men. So it's pretty interesting stuff here. The producer suggested that 1 out of every 2 female characters is played by a man, and about 1 out of every 100 male characters is played by a woman. So it's really quite interesting when you look at gaming. And then, you know, there's a lot of information on that particular website if you wanted to go there. There's also, they move into talking about gender bending and online forums and chat rooms, and they don't have a whole lot of stuff in here. They have like just one little paragraph, but they do talk about the idea of self-monitoring, which we've talked about before. There's some interesting stats here, but basically it said low self-monitoring users were more likely than high self-monitors to engage in gender bending and to question the gender of others, which I think is really interesting, because remember, high self-monitoring means you really are looking at your behaviors and how other people are going to receive them or interpret them. So it would make sense if you're a little less concerned about that or don't notice it as much, you would be less sort of concerned or really even thinking about how others might perceive you. And then it moves on to other spaces for playing with gender, and I went to that little place, that website that they suggest for the first time ever, and I looked around. It's pretty darn interesting, and so I give you a link there to the chat. It's called Gender Bending and the Underground Chatropolis, and it has it's the language is pretty graphic, and the authors sort of give you on page 311 some of the stuff, and it's even more graphic when you get on there. But it's pretty interesting. So if you want to go bend some gender and you want to see what other folks are doing, that would be a good place to go. But there you go. I'm offering you, I am inviting you to go to this place. I am not taking you there, nor will I go there. But it's really interesting stuff. And then there's a little thing about outing, and for some reason, because of the way that we were socialized, we're always, no matter what, thinking about is this person a male or female, so forth and so on. It says, users are more likely to use gender stereotypic language when discussing gender stereotypes. The content rather than general content remains sexless and may not help. In a recent experiment, Nowick reported that almost 2/3 of the college students participated reporting guessing the sex of the online genderless interactants. When discovered, gender benders can deny their sex. They need to reveal their true identity only when they desire to come out. Gender benders might refuse to reveal their true identities because they fear negative evaluations from relational partners. So interesting stuff about the whole outing. I think, the thing is, I really was interested in the motivations and also the consequences for all this. Why would you want to do this? Why would you want to? I am a man. Why would I want to be a woman online in a game or something like that? What are the motivations? Well, sometimes folks do this stuff, and it can perhaps, you can communicate in certain ways that you want to communicate that isn't always appreciated in face-to-face settings. If you're a man and you're having some sort of emotional problem, maybe you want to go to some support group that's anonymous, and you want to share your feelings, but you want to pretend you're a woman because sometimes that's more socially acceptable. So that's some of the stuff that they say. Other stuff, gaming strategies, which I'm not a gamer, so if you're a gamer out there, you probably know much more about this than I do. But I thought it was pretty interesting, the stuff about gender bending and gaming here. See the bottom of page 312, because I think this is really, really important information. Feminist critics argue that male gender bending can be viewed as another form of female oppression. In virtual realities, males can design images of female characters with sex appeal from the masculine perspective. Choosing such feminine characteristics allow the male gamer to control the female body, which I think again is interesting and really quite problematic when it comes to all this type of stuff. And basically I like the whole last paragraph because it sort of captures the whole thing about gender bending. We offer an additional rationale for gender bending. Users can gender bend to try on new ways of communicating in their face-to-face as well as online personal relationships. For examples, and I've sort of said this already, a woman might request her male face-to-face romantic partner to engage in behaviors he considers feminine, such as cuddling and expressing feelings. The man might be more comfortable practicing such behaviors online as a woman, especially if he has witnessed only women performing such behaviors. Conversely, a woman desiring to be more assertive with close work allies can try out such behaviors as a male game character to discover if she can say the words necessary to express her opinion in the face of opposition from opponents and high-status relational partners. Thus, gender bending can serve an important relational function by allowing for rehearsal of new desired communication behaviors for later use in face-to-face relationships, which I think is just fascinating. Again, it has the whole convergence stuff. And then the whole consequences, same as the other consequences for blogs generally. Again, we have this convergence. We have this critique of social norms through gender bending. Obviously, it challenges patriarchy. It can be liberating. It's really just screwing with the whole sort of social fabric of gender norms. And I love the quote on the bottom of page 313. It is indeed a truly disorienting experience the first time one finds oneself being treated as a member of the opposite sex. My own forays into the realm of virtual masculinity were at first frightening. Once deprived of the social tools which I, as female, was used to deploying and relying on, I felt rudderless, unable to negotiate in the most simple of social interactions. So you really get to see what it's like, perhaps, to wear women's shoes, or vice versa. So, but they also say that a lot of these views of the liberatory possibility of this can be a little bit too optimistic. And so they go back to this notion of gaming, and cite Brookie and Cannon, who I actually went to graduate school with, both of those guys, at the University of Arkansas. As illustrated in the section on gender bending in online gaming, the performance of gender can further objectify women and encourage the enactment of traditional gender roles. So again, there are woes to all this stuff, which again is a huge theme. Both a curse and both a blessing and a curse, both medicine and disease. Now, for what you all have been waiting for, cyber sex, with my image of robots hugging. Okay, so what is cyber sex? I'm on page 16. I hope you know what it is. It's sex online. Top of page 314 talks about it. Two online users engaging in private discourse about sexual fantasies. The dialogue is usually accompanied by self-stimulation, and then it has more a quote here from Benzeev that I'll let you read. But I think the having private discourse and self-stimulation gives you sort of the sense of what it is. They also say that a lot of folks are like searching for love in all the wrong places, Googling for sex. It says in here, sex is one of the most searched topics on the internet. It's one of the reasons why we have to cover stuff like that. In a survey of 760 college students, boys documented 4 uses of online sexual content: entertainment, sexual gratification, seeking partners, and in-person exploitation, which I guess is the bad bit. About 40% went online to meet new people and to view sexually explicit material. So there's lots of stuff out there. There's some pretty interesting stuff there, I think, at the bottom of this. I mean, it talks about, pretty much everybody does it. It says single folks do it, married folks do it. As I say, cybersex is for the whole family. It seems like there's no set sort of demographic, though men, obviously, I think they say do it more than others. Down at the bottom it says, thus, on page 314, thus while cybersex often is characterized by illusionary, idealized sexual relationships, cybersex conversations obviate very little in the expression of identities, fantasies, and pleasures that's allowing for the development of relationships that many users experience as real. So they think they're sort of real, in a sense. Yeah, and what is real? What is virtual? That's all. It's all over the place. They move on to talking, and they have that quote. I'll let you read that quote. But it can be, cybersex can lead to, I guess, personal involvement and all that type of stuff. Self-disclosure is sort of big here, so we remember the whole idea of anonymity, and people seem to self-disclose a lot more online than they do face-to-face. So have this, the whole fantasy, when you think of cybersex, I guess we could use the whole metaphor of Fantasy Island here. Mr. Rourke is here inviting us to come online to disclose what our fantasies are, and a little tattoo goes up to the bell tower and goes, "De-porn, de-porn." Okay, so so they talk a little bit about self-disclosure and self-presentation, and they also talk about deception, and they have this theory of this ACE idea. As I say in the PowerPoint, ACE is the place for the helpful hardware. Never mind. So ACE, yet another abbreviation here. ACE, anonymity, convenience, and escape. So anonymity is the catalyst for individuals feeling comfortable disclosing information during cybersex chat sessions. Users think anonymity will safeguard face-to-face partners from discovering the cybersex relationship, that online relational partners will only judge them in the context of the chat session, not applying the same criteria as face-to-face relationships. And the whole idea of convenience merely is the ability to meet others more readily online than in person. Yeah, it's easier. And then escape is the idea that cybersex is not actually infidelity because the relationship is never physically consummated. Because cybersex is virtual, it's not real. So that's some of the things that they say there. And then this whole idea, which leads to this notion of CMC, cybersex, and the very idea of infidelity. And so it talks about what infidelity is. You can look at the definition there, but that also depends on your interpretation of infidelity. Some would argue that the cybersex is not infidelity because it's virtual, not real. Some internet users spend up to 10 hours per week engaged in cybersex. Yeah, if you've got nothing else to do, I guess. They have these hypotheses from Peter and Valkenburg, the Recreational Hypothesis. Such users are sexually permissive sensation seekers. Others, the compensation hypothesis describes such users as looking to find others to compensate for their own inadequacies that are done face to face.